Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our kickoff session from Microsoft Visio. I'm Angela Byers, Director of Marketing for the product. And in the next hour, we want to show you how Microsoft Visio helps you achieve your digital transformation. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it through the lens of marketing and business trends. And then through the lens of our product, we'll show you some pretty cool and exciting demos in our product. And finally, through the lens of our customer and partner. And you can hear firsthand how Visio is helping them achieve digital transformation. And they're also going to tell you some pretty cool cutting-edge stuff that they're using Visio for. So with that said, I want to start off with a thank you to our customers. Can I see a show of hands how many of you use Visio right now? Wow, that is impressive. That actually reflects almost a percentage on the slide. So I want to thank you to those customers who are in the room, as well as to our 12 million users out there for our product. It is pretty humbling to think about that over 90% of Fortune 100 companies use Visio, from financial services to engineering and manufacturing to professional services, telecom, you name it. From monitoring how their manufacturing floors are going to monitoring how their data center operations are going. We are very humbled by the number of customers that depend on our product each and every day. So, digital transformation. You've probably heard Satya and the LT talk a whole lot about it. And indeed, digital transformation is one of the biggest changes that we will see in our lifetime when it comes to business trends. To stay competitive, companies have to bring together their data, their product, and their people together in order to create customers more value. Whether that be to transform their operations, to empower their employees and customers, or to radically transform their products. Now, regardless of the type of digital transformation, there is one thing in common. It is a journey that requires the whole organization to come along in order for it to be successful. All the way from the planning phase, when you're just creating the blueprint and figuring out what to do, to collaborating and innovating, and finally to executing, to monitoring how that digital transformation is going so you can adjust, make the right course adjustment along the way, and make sure it stays on strategy. And that is where the power of Visio comes in. It helps you visualize every step of that digital transformation and brings transparency so your entire organization can come along. And my colleague Ashutosh will show you in details later how that actually works in action in our product. Now, with the business landscape changing so rapidly in digital transformation, and frankly, customer expectations evolving so quickly as well, there is a new culture of work emerging, one that moves beyond routine tasks and hierarchical decisions, one that requires your employees to all think creatively, critically, and to collaborate with one another to come out with the best solution to address the problems at hand. And harnessing that employee ingenuity is super important in order for a company to compete. And that is the underpinning of Microsoft 365, our newest productivity offering that combines the familiarity of Office 365 with the security and mobility of the Microsoft Cloud. It unlocks creativity, it's built for teamwork, it's integrated for simplicity, and it has intelligent security. And Microsoft Visio is M365's strategy to help empower your employees to unlock creativity. And this customer promise of unlocking creativity in M365 is really underpinned by 4 principles: working naturally with ink, voice, and touch, visualizing information in new ways, building on the work and the enterprise of others, and creating compelling content with intelligent apps. And these 4 principles align very well to what Microsoft Visio is all about. At the core, Microsoft Visio is a critical piece of Microsoft's digital transformation approach by helping you visualize complex ideas through intuitive data-linked diagrams. Visio helps you create and communicate professional diagrams. You can get started easily with pre-made templates, or you can go all the way and leverage our hundreds and thousands of templates and shapes and stencils that practically meets every business need. Visio helps you collaborate and innovate with your team. You and your team can work on the same diagrams at the same time with collaboration built right in. And Visio helps connect diagrams to live data and act on insights. Imagine live data sitting inside those shapes, and you can get really powerful visual cues as those data change. And really, anyone who knows how to do Excel can easily take their process map data and turn that into a live diagram. Now, before we show you Visio in action, we want to announce the soon-to-be generally available new cloud experience and therefore an expanded new lineup of our subscription offering. Now, our current Visio product is geared toward core professional diagrammers, but we've also heard from many information workers that they also want to benefit from the power of working visually, but they want something a little simpler than our current Visio offering. So I am pleased to announce the soon-to-be generally available Microsoft Visio Online experience, which you can get through our Visio Online plans. Visio Online experience is the simple way to create and share diagrams in your favorite browser. Visio Online helps you and your team build beautiful, effective diagrams very quickly and share them across your organization. And because Visio Online is built on Microsoft Cloud, it comes with Microsoft's enterprise-grade security and accessibility capabilities. Now, you can get this Microsoft Visio Online experience through our new Visio Online Plan 1, which comes with all of this, as well as 2 gigabytes of diagram storage. And all this priced an amazing deal of $5 per user per month. Now, Visio Online Plan 1 will complement our existing subscription offering, Visio Online Plan 2, renamed from what you know to be Visio Pro for Office 365, our most compelling subscription offering in the cloud. It comes with all of this, as well as cloud-first innovations, which you will see very shortly, such as greater insights through Data Visualizer or Power BI integration. And it also comes with robust diagramming capabilities that comes through our desktop client. Both plans will be available across channels coming soon this fall. And now I want to hand off to my engineering colleague, Ashutosh, to tell you more about Visio in action in the digital transformation journey, show you some pretty cool demos, as well as let you in on the know of some of the new features in the work on the Visio roadmap.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much. Thank you for setting the context. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your time. My name is Ashutosh Tripathi. I'm Group Program Manager for Visio. And in the next about 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about the upcoming innovations and capabilities in Visio's roadmap, which will help you in your journey towards digital transformation. Visio has a history of very strong innovations in diagramming, and the primary goal of which has been to enable our customers to lead the future, lead the innovations in their own industries. If I skip a lot of details and focus on only very few things, you'll find that in 2007 itself, we introduced connection of data to diagram itself, which helped driving insights from your diagrams to your operations. In 2013, with the need of industry in general of getting a globally connected and cloud-centric solutions, we started our cloud subscription. In 2016, we had a release which simplified a lot of stuff for our users who got intimidated with the drawing itself. So we had very good starter diagrams and also a bunch of enhancements related to security and compliance. We introduced one-step data linking as well, which was again an improvement, enhancement over what we had initially as data linking to the diagram. Now with 2016, what we realized is that the pace of innovation itself is very fast, and we can't wait, particularly for our customers who are working on cutting edge of technologies and innovation that's happening. So from 2016 onwards, we have been releasing innovations for our cloud subscription customers almost every month. And we have got, for example, you can see in this, bunch of new templates got released. We released Visio Viewer for iOS. We also released Visio Consumption, Visio Online, through Visio Online this March. And we are also running a couple of previews right now. One, of course, getting GA'd as Angela announced, which is Visio Online ability to create diagrams. Plus, we are running a preview right now, Power BI, which integrates Power BI to Visio and gets your business insights into the diagram itself, which I'm going to demo very soon. So Microsoft Visio, along with rest of Microsoft platform, has helped thousands of customers, I would say, in different kind of business transformations. Now, with these innovations, you'll find Visio will enable your organizations to do much more, achieve more. For example, digital transformation can be very challenging. It will require you to think through the entire business model, vision for your company, and Visio will help you in creating, envisioning those new models, new processes, new business models as well, and define those processes and how to execute them. What Satya mentioned today and what Angela reiterated right now is most of these digital transformations are not limited to one function or one organization. Entire company has to get behind it. And for that, it requires collaborating and innovating by working with your organization. It requires involvement, sharing of those, and then collaboration becomes a force multiplier to get that innovation out. And finally, once you have defined all of your vision, it requires constant monitoring with data and control that, tweak, or make changes as soon as you get signals. And that all needs to be integrated into the same language that you have created your plan. And this is exactly what Visio is going to help you with. With this, let me go a little more detail on what are the things coming as far as creation of diagrams are concerned. First, of course, Angela talked about the foundation of Visio's ability to create anything visual is based on about 80 templates, thousands of shapes, and if I were to include the ecosystem of shape, it runs around 250K shapes, and you can almost create anything out of that. We realized that with digital transformation, a bunch of solutions are getting mobile, cloud-based solutions, and we had a gap there. We're going to fill that gap, the blue line that talks about new wireframes, mobile and web, which is now available. You could try that in subscription channels, as well as it also includes a bunch of partner templates as well. In future, you would see that with all of this content coming together, there would be a need for enterprises to standardize that content. And we are going to add that in future as well. The second part of Visio, which helps you in visualizing almost everything that we say, is also our ability to create solutions which are customized for certain set of problems. For example, we had timeline, organization charts, and work breakdown structure solutions which were part of the Visio and which you could run and create diagrams automatically. We actually brought back, because of a lot of requests that we had for DBRE, which models your database, reverse engineers that, because a lot of systems, when we move from one system to the other, requires modeling as well. So DBRE will do that. In future, as we see the bunch of requests and bunch of, I would say, demand that is coming on cloud infrastructure templates and solution, we are going to add that as well. And finally, which I'm going to demo that, this is new thing that we introduced last year itself as a preview, and in April we made a G of that, which is data visualizer, which helps you create diagrams just from data. And it's almost magical, as you see, and we are making more investments in future as well, so that right now what we create as process maps can be extended to other variety of diagrams, for example, timelines, organization charts, and networks. So let me do a very quick demo of this. Give me a second, I'll just change the projections. All right, so where do you start when you start looking at data visualizer or diagramming from your data? One of the most popular endpoints, and this is what we realized by talking to a lot of our customers, they had their processes captured in some way in Excel. Bunch of activities were captured, and they used to look at that and create diagrams from that data manually through Visio. So we looked at that problem, and we realized that it is easier for Visio to create those diagrams from data. So let's say, how do you start? You first look at, for example, process templates in Excel. And of course, it will bring up the process map for cross-functional charts, which helps you create diagrams to the data that has been entered. This Excel sheet is a schema definition as well. If you follow the schema, the diagram creation would be almost magical and automatic, but that's not mandatory. You could use your own templates, as I will demonstrate later, where you can save them as templates as well, and rest of organization can still create the same magic. So let me first show you what's the next step. So now I'll go and create a new Visio diagram, and I'll pick up this new template, which integrates with Excel. Now this is a template which first prompts you to which diagram that you want to create, and you choose, say, for example, cross-functional flowchart, and then you can select in Excel. Let's say we are taking an Excel which describes the right of decision tree functional chart, which is essentially our business process. It reads that, and it finds out that there is a process map here. It recognizes the process map. You can do next. And this is where I was talking about you may skip the tight schema definition. In this case, because it has been created from schema, it has actually read, and it says that, okay, your function or swim lane is mapped to function. Your phase is mapped to phase or timeline is mapped to the phase, which is available column in your Excel. But you can easily change here mapping if you have not created from that schema definition to map these values. And if I move to the next, it will again find out, okay, there are the bunch of columns, because it's from a schema definition, are mapping. For example, your process step or ID is your ID table in the columns in the Excel. Process step description is again mapping to the Excel. And your shape type association is also mentioned there. Not necessary. You can actually go ahead and change that as well here. For example, these are the columns listed from Excel, and you can change the shape. Now, the magic that's going to happen is it is going to read all of that and create a very complex diagram, which our customers say would take them hours to create and sometimes days to create. But this diagram can be created just in a few minutes, as you saw this. Now, this is the entire flowchart, cross-functional flowchart, that has been created for the process that has been described in that Excel, and bunch of activities that are listed in that Excel row column format. Now, additional thing that you'll find here, that there are a bunch of other columns in Excel, which it finds that there could be applicability of data graphics here. For example, you could actually say, oh, risks is a data graphics that you want to show. So it will apply data graphics to risks. I'm going to zoom and show you. The other would be controls. What are the controls that are in place to mitigate those risks? And let me zoom and show you. So this diagram now is created, and it captures the bunch of process steps and also risks and the controls that are already in place. Now, we also met a lot of customers who had these kind of complex diagrams, and one of them presented Visio diagrams in PowerPoint slides to us. And we asked them, how did you create that? And they said, oh, we used to take the snips of those and created presentations. That also is not a very efficient model. So we also added one more feature. For example, in this case, if you go to View, it will create almost again magically the presentations. So you can say, I want to take a snippet. And for example, in this case, you would like to describe in different slides what are the different functions doing. So that's one slide that gets created. And you can add the title of this, that this is what collector does. You could actually now create another snippet here and move it. And this is the next function, which is, and of course you can resize so that it looks better. And you can say this is what a lead does. Similarly, you could create this entire diagram, Visio diagrams, in different PowerPoint slides. And a single action, when you do export, this is going to create the slide, and let me show you how does it actually look like in full screen. And you could, of course, add a lot of details later, but this is the beginning. Your collector, and then you go to the next slide, which again creates magically and shows what is the job your lead does. So this entire flow chart has been broken into these slides. All right, going back to the presentation. The next part, which I'm going to focus is the Visio's ability to create broad spectrum, multitude of diagrams applicable to different functions, and what are the new things that are coming into. So this is obviously known that Visio, because of the fact that it is a versatile tool, helps most of the functions to create their own specific diagram, which help in entire organization talking the same language for the same vision or the business process modeling that you're going to create. DV-based flowchart will actually help creating these process maps or process diagrams for organizations where you will not find a lot of proficiency of creating diagrams. People just dealing with data will be able to create those diagrams as well. In future, we are going to add another category of this, which is brainstorming. For IT, we have already mentioned that we've introduced DBRE. We have introduced wireframes, which includes mobile wireframes as well as web wireframes, just because of the proliferation or the penetration of cloud and devices-based solution in the organizations. In future, we are going to include much more templates for cloud as well as the infrastructure that relates to Azure. In the ops and engineering side, one thing I just wanted to let you know in terms of, because we heard lots of complaints and issues from our customers that the performance has not been that great. Right now, in cloud subscription, we are running the Visio, which is the most reliable and performant version. And this is something that our customers are telling us. On the new things you'll find, and I'll demo that again, unified dashboard, and of course, we added latest AutoCAD because of the fact that the AutoCAD new versions came and our customers were not able to use those files. In future, you'll find what-if analysis and simulations done as well, so that ops and engineering can find out what is the optimized way of running their processes. How can they tweak it? How can they control that for better results? And thank you, Angela, for announcing this. This is creating anywhere with Visio Online. One of the things that Visio, despite being such a powerful tool, had a limitation was that it could not be used by everyone at any place. With Visio Online, we overcome this difficulty, and you will find that everybody will be able to draw diagrams because of the simplicity that it brings it. And you can start diagramming very quickly, as you'll see in the demo in a few minutes from now. There is an intent-driven search that is provided. So even if you don't know what diagram you want to draw, but if you know what your desire is, what intent is from visualization perspective, and if you type that, you'll find the results there, and that will help you find out the right kind of diagram that you want to draw. And there is a very, very simple, intuitive, minimalistic UI design that will help lots of folks who are not so deep into diagramming to draw such diagrams. And this is just from a browser. These diagrams, as you'll see, are almost custom designed for web in terms of their being lightweight, not taking that much of size, and being very quick. And in future, we will also add IT and software diagrams in this category. And because of the fact that it is integrated with Office 365 and Office 365, it helps you to get the capability of what OneDrive offers. It comes with a 2 GB OneDrive, so you can share and collaborate with anyone in your organization, as well as share the link with your partners as well. So let me do a very quick demo of Visio Online. All right, so this just switch to the demo. The first thing that you'll notice here is that there is a search initially provided. It allows people to just find out which diagram, for example, they want to draw process diagrams. The options will come out, and you can choose, without going into further details, which diagram you want to draw. Second is, if you were to scroll, you'll find your bunch of diagrams, which are your latest diagrams, will appear here. The popular diagrams, which is essentially what different people are drawing, that will appear here. And then there are different categories, including basic diagrams, basic flowcharts, cross-functional flowcharts, block diagrams, SDL diagrams. And there are some of these diagrams which, for example, marketing uses, they're used by finance, used by different kind of business diagrams as well. So let me choose one of the diagrams to draw. For example, my favorite is a Venn diagram, just to show you how simple it is. All right, so this is a diagram of desirability, feasibility, and viability, and you can just customize this for your own needs. For example, you could say what you want to do or what you love to do. Then, of course, what you get paid for. And what you are expert at. And then what you love to do, but you're expert at, but it doesn't give you much, is probably, it's desirable. It's a desire, in some ways. But what you love to do and what you get paid for seems like it's not a viable. And what you paid for and what you're expert at, but you don't love, you'll probably get bored. And what's going to be the center? Any guesses? Well, for me, it's Visio, and you can find out what's for you. All right, so you can actually make a bunch of diagrams. This is just a very simple illustration of what we could do. So let's take another example of creating a cross-functional flowchart. And this is going to be very quick. You can see, you can select start, and you can type here start, and you can align the process. The beauty of these guiding lines are they can actually allow you to align this the way you want. So let's say a customer submits an application for loan, customer application. And the other thing that you will find that which inherits from Visio is that we still retain quick shapes. And you can say, okay, submits an application, you process that application, and further, you reach to a decision point, and you say credit ratings, and with this, you will have choices, say, and you can add another choice. And you can actually drag it down. And for example, you could insert a bunch of stuff here. Yes, let's say insert images from web. And you say check mark. Let's take this, insert, and you can align this, take it to the bottom. And the good part is, as you align this, it will find out the right size that you want to do, which is exactly this height you want, and then finally, you can align this with the shape size as well. The other things that you can actually do is that you can add multiple shape sets that Visio Online provides. And let's say, for example, in this case, we were to take symbols. The symbols get added, and when you click on symbols, you will be able to find out, for example, you want to add, let's say, representation of a bank, and you put bank which processes this, align this, and similarly, all the guidelines will help you in aligning this very quickly. The other thing which you'll find, and this is what Satya said in his keynote today, and which is extremely critical for Microsoft and important for Microsoft to do is a bunch of work that we do in accessibility. So if you go and say review, and you click on this accessibility icon, it tells you that what diagram shapes are not created with accessibility in mind, so that your diagram will not function with a bunch of narrators and stuff. So it says that all of this is missing, and it's not very difficult. You click on this shape, and after clicking on this shape, you will be able to change this in terms of what text you want to be added. So I'll text, and let's say you want to add here start, and you do the start stuff here, and then you recheck, and you'll find that that particular thing is gone. So it is inbuilt with respect to making your diagram accessibility compliant. Bunch of other things that you can actually do. You can change the design and stuff, which is follows Office paradigm. You can go ahead and change colors. For example, you want to appear a little dark or black. All of this is possible here. And if you were to look at the range of the shapes that it provides, you can keep adding all of this into this diagram. And finally, you could actually go ahead and change the view. You can, so for example, you've done with this, and you can change it to reading view. It provides the reading view, which is fine, and you can go ahead and add comments there. If you share this link, for example, you will be able to share it across the organization as well as within organization, and folks can collaborate on this diagram, provide their comments as well. And anyone with this link can view and edit. So with this, I'll move to the next part of the presentation. All right. Which is collaboration and innovation. I mentioned this in the beginning that collaboration is a force multiplier, and if you are able to empower your organization and involve your partners, you will be able to get a bunch of stuff moving faster, bunch of new ideas, bunch of reviews done, and your transformation journey would certainly be less painful. What Visio Online provides, it provides an ability for you to share your documents all across as we showed you, and also the fact that anybody with Office 365 account can have those files where they can provide their comments, review, and feedback. This will deprecate the existing Visio services that we have running on cloud right now in next year by end of September. Now, the other thing that it allows you is to invite anybody in Office 365 environment to start reviewing your documents, but we are going to extend this to other stores as well, and maybe OneDrive for consumer very soon as per the needs. Second, on collaboration, you'll find that it provides, Visio today provides a bunch of contextual operations that you can do. For example, comments on the shape itself, it gets associated, and it does retain that association. We are working on the new front to get Microsoft Teams integrated, and where you can work, invite people in your team, in Microsoft Teams, and they will be able to co-edit the diagrams, collaborate on that, and view as well. Things that are around the horizon, for example, a bunch of stuff related to activity list, a collab corner, and Skype with the Visio desktop. I just showed you a demo for export to PowerPoint. This is integrated with integration, the work of, I would say, two things getting better together. We are also working to create Word document, which is essentially required for a bunch of compliance stuff. So you create your Visio diagrams and convert them into Word document. Finally, all of this blueprint that you have defined, and you have created a model for your business transformation, you have created new processes. What does it require next? It requires you to connect that process that you have created to data so that you can monitor them with respect to the goals that you set out to achieve, whether you are in the right path or not. And this is where monitoring against diagrams comes into picture. Visio diagrams have been long data connected, but what we have done now is that with Visio Online, as a service that is coming up, you will be able to connect to SharePoint list in Excel. And in future, what we're looking at is that if we can make this extensible as an APIs, so that bunch of data which is coming from different sources can be connected to it as well. We are running a preview of Power BI for which we have got lots of encouraging comments and feedback, which allows the business intelligence that Power BI brings to be mapped to the operational intelligence that Visio brings to its diagram, so that you can make right meaningful inferences. And I'll show you one example where it makes a lot of sense to see the business intelligence in conjunction with your diagrams, real-world mapping as well. The third pillar of monitoring against diagram is essentially being able to monitor certain things at the site itself on the operations. So we had released Visio Viewer on iOS, which was used extensively for viewing and consumption purposes, but we're going to have the ability of being able to see in conjunction with data as well at some point of time, but you can still run today your Visio Online consumption in different devices. All right, going back to the demo session for unified dashboards. So this is something that Visio users are already familiar with. This is a retail layout. It is already connected to data. And if I were to zoom, you will find that this shows the inventory situation. And green means that you've got good inventory. Red means that you're running low on those stocks. Now this is one view, which is an operations view. If you were to look at, say for example, what does the sales guy looks at? He looks at, oh, there are items which are probably, not selling that much. This is my target, and I'm missing these targets in Suitcase and but of course, inventory is getting accumulated there. These are two different kind of data points. But if you were to combine them, for example, if you look at this diagram, you will find here that this combines the operational intelligence with the business intelligence. And if I were to click on, say, for example, why does this long sleeve shirt is not selling that much? And you'll find that as I click on this, it zooms into the Visio diagram to show exact position where it is. So you'll find a whole bunch of stock is there. It's red, but here is the trick here. The magic is you could actually see now the retail layout of the factory, and you'll find that this particular area is not accessible. There are a bunch of work which is going on, and this has made this area inaccessible, and which is very hard to find out unless you go into the store itself. By bringing this intelligence with what's happening in your operations side, you can make right meaningful inferences very quickly. And you'll have a detailed session on Data Visualizer at about 4 p.m., where you'll find out how to create these diagrams, how to combine Power BI with Visio Online. All right, moving on to the next part. And this is a new dimension, totally new dimension that Visio is going to add, which is getting your diagrams into execution. We had a feature earlier which used to work very well with SharePoint Designer, where you could design workflows and import them to the SharePoint. Now with that feature, I would say not being used extensively because it has been deprecated, we are going to introduce a new ability to create diagrams and then export that diagram into a work definition language, which you can import into any orchestration engine, for example, Flow, and which will allow your diagrams or your workflows to first visualize as a diagram and then orchestrate it in an engine. And the second part is, because of Data Visualizer capability, what we have brought in now is, because your shapes and diagrams are connected with data, and you create diagram from data itself. So if you were to change those values in Excel, you will be getting a different diagrams. And this property existed in some way in Shapesheet, but with Data Visualizer, you can easily create simulations. This is if we create this bidirectional connectivity between your diagrams and data. And then you will be able to do a bunch of what-if analysis in operations. And the third pillar that you see here is very interesting, which is today Visio is used, Visio diagrams are used in the physical world. A lot of people take either the printouts or they use Visio Online and devices and carry out operations by looking at those diagrams, and people have printouts that run into feeds, Visio diagram printouts. Now the world is changing. As Satya in his keynote mentioned that we don't have to solve or troubleshoot problems just by looking at what things look like physically, but also looking at, we can do that with respect to getting mixed reality or augmented reality into picture. And this is where Visio comes into picture. And if you are looking at an MR or you're looking at digital twins, you can bring the Visio into the snapshot and start troubleshooting right there digitally itself. I'll just do a very quick demo of flow so that we can show you what kind of power we're talking about. So I'll just open one diagram which is already made to illustrate the concept here. So there are a bunch of shapes in this diagram. You can see that, for example, there is a condition which says that, there's a shape which has properties, shape properties, which integrates itself. So you can export that into a language which an orchestration engine will be able to read and interpret that. Similarly, there are a bunch of actions. For example, how does your action start? Start an approval action, or sending an email, or creating a task. All of these shapes are just representation of your workflows. But within them, they have shape properties, which once you, for example, export, can create, let's say I export this, go to the Process tab, and I say Export. It will create a zip file. And let's say this is a purchase order. Okay, I'll just go ahead and replace this. And if I open my flow, let me close this. And I can say, where are my flows? And I say I want to import and create a new flow. Here I can upload a new package, let's say purchase. It will upload this. And while it is processing, it's uploading this. But to show you how it finally works is there's a flow that's already created, which is here. And to show you the properties that has been interpreted here, I just go to edit. So it has interpreted different shapes and created a workflow for the flow which can be orchestrated because of the properties that has been captured in the shape prop sheet. So it starts with when a flow is created in a folder, you start an approval process. This is an action that is defined in flow. Then a bunch of conditions, and based on that condition, there are certain actions again you define in your diagram, which gets represented in the flow as well. So this is the future of getting your diagrams into orchestration. All right, finally, let me introduce you to Dr. Hagen Wenzek, who is Chief Innovation Officer of Corporate Health. He has more than 25 years of experience in industry, in consulting, strategy, and IT. He has worked with a bunch of multinational companies like IBM, IPG, and after that, he has started his own company. He's founder of Corporate Health, and a bunch of work that he used to get done with lots of people, is doing all alone. And we are thankful to him that he started trying out our data visualizer feature, and he found that it increases efficiency of stuff that he's doing right now, just that he doesn't have that many people now. So being a founder and running a startup, he's found this to be extremely efficient. Dr. Hagen, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, what we do is we're a healthcare startup. We're hunting down technology, medical devices that are not really utilized in the industry. And one of them is an amazing technology. It's a little capsule. You can't see it out here. You shouldn't because you want to swallow it, which takes a video of your colon, of your intestines. And somehow it's a great technology, but the clinical process is just the way that they work today don't allow for wide adoption. So we try to overcome that, and we build an IT-enabled services company, one that manages patients. So we actually have a nurse. This is one of our nurses out of Denmark. She goes to visit a patient, and she helps with the delivery of the capsule. You put a belt on the recorder to record the images, the video that the capsule takes, and then later the video gets uploaded to our infrastructure, to our team. We have a team sitting in Hamburg right now that then looks at these videos and analyzes them to figure out, is there a polyp in there that might need to be taken care of, then with a very invasive procedure with a colonoscopy. So as you can see, this is, for me, a supply chain problem. I need to solve that just like I needed to solve in manufacturing supply chain issues. And using IT for that makes a lot of sense. In medical technology, obviously, or in healthcare in general, quality management is even more important than it is in manufacturing. In manufacturing, yeah, you might have something, your product break down. Here you have a person die if you don't get it right. So we're talking about actually quite massive scale that we are out to achieve. So I just mentioned capsule endoscopy is something that can prevent or avoid colonoscopies that are just for investigations. In the US, we do 22 million colonoscopies every year. In Europe, which is right now our core market, 1 million colonoscopies. There are 100 million people just in Northern Europe at risk for colorectal cancer because they're over 50. And by the way, if you're over 50, do get an investigation. As long as you can't get the capsule from us, get a colonoscopy. The risk goes up like a hockey stick. We're right now in Scotland. We're out there in the middle of nowhere in the Highlands and Islands, and we're there looking to provide just to Scotland 50,000 capsule colonoscopies every year. That's what the NHS is asking us right now. Can you build a system that can scale to those 50,000 people in Scotland? To do that, we need to be very precise in the standard operating procedures that we describe. So these are the SOPs, these are process flows, these are data flows. You need to approve all of them, you need to monitor them, you need to audit them, everything that a normal quality management system needs to do as well. And normally what you do is you just, at the end, you create a PDF file out of from a Word and you put it into a library so that somebody who comes auditing can check off that it actually works correctly, that you did the all right thing. For that, you use Excel, some Visio, some PowerPoint, a Mind Manager, and so forth. And that becomes just a pretty big hassle, especially if you do that collaboratively throughout the company with the people that actually know what they're doing. So what I went out was to try to rebuild the way that we do quality management. And I literally stumbled over Data Visualizer on a blog somewhere in blogoffice.com and thought, wait a second. When I'm building processes, I typically first just write them down in a list. But that's nothing that you can discuss with anybody. You can't go with a clinician and sit down with a doctor. A doctor wants to see a flowchart. So what do? You take the process list that you have, put it into a flowchart in Visio, you want to do it right so it looks good. So at the end, you spend 80% of your time just making it look good. The 20% of the content has already been created before. So that somehow doesn't make a lot of sense. And what I figured out here is I can actually create the process flow, the process map in Excel, just writing it down, that automatically creates me a flow chart that is good enough to discuss with the people, get input on, and that feeds into the standard operating procedure, which is still a Word document, because the guys that are out there to audit you, they want to see this Word document or this PDF file. And I have it all linked into a SharePoint library. So at the end, what we're getting to is the 80% that I've been spending on just making things pretty are now spent on the content. So it is really all about making sure that you understand the processes that you want to deliver correctly and be able to get input from all the right people, your own team or external team members. And so let me show you a little bit how we do this. You've seen already the highly professional demos here from Ashutosh. Let me show you how it looks when we're doing it. And as he mentioned, I used to run or build IBM's cloud strategy. So look at the super big picture. Then I went down, became a CTO, and I told other people what they need to build. And now I'm a co-founder, and instead of spending money, I rather figure out how to do it myself. And then maybe later tell other people to do it even more professionally. But for me, it was all about sitting down and finding new features that suddenly solve the really, really urgent, important problem, but solve it in a way that it's professional at the end as well. So what you see is our new quality management system. It's just a SharePoint library, basically, with a couple of content types in there that allow me to create a standard operating procedure in Excel. And this is nothing else than the Excel template that you already saw before, which is coming right out of the box from the original Visio data visualizer schema. So what I do here, and I obviously prepared it so I don't have to stand here and type, I take the blank map and I add all the information in there that is relevant for us. And this is a standard operating procedure for us, how a nurse needs to do the upload first of the capsule video onto a computer and then from the computer to our infrastructure. So, and that's a simple process flow. I just hacked that down in 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. That's much as this takes. And with all the thinking about how it actually works. So, and once I'm done with that, I can either go back into SharePoint and use another content type now for Visio, or let me show it to you how it also looks like, because what I did is now the new plugin in Visio allows me to create exactly the format and everything of my standard operating procedure and how the connections with the Excel spreadsheet and the background and the logo and everything should look like, and create a package out of that. And that package is then this Excel template, and it's a Visio template. And so the one I put out for us here today is just the SOP test here. So I double click on that, and it will do what Ashutosh just showed as well. It allows me to link over to this Excel process flow that I just wrote. Get me my tables in there. And here you get the video transfer table that I did. And I want to make sure that I keep the order of the functions and then say finish. And it creates my diagram. Ta-da! It's there. And the beauty about it it might not look as great and gorgeous as the original process flow that I created, but the other one, it took me a day or half a day to build and then talk with people and make it even, and you fuddle around with that. This is now one that is absolutely appropriate for any professional discussion with a clinician, with a doctor, with with our chief medical officer. And I can even connect it also to then a couple of extra metadata as well. So zoomed in already, up here on the top, you'll see it has, it has directly imported also all the couple of the fields from the data type out of SharePoint. So the versioning of the document is also controlled. So, and the moment I have that, and I save it back into the SharePoint library, I go back and I now have it in Visio Online. Because with my nurses or with the doctors, if I want to share the document with them or that flowchart with them, they obviously don't have Visio. But we have Office 365, so they have Visio Online. So for me, what I'm doing is basically just sending a link over, and then together on the computer or on Skype, we just discuss the chart. I go maybe online in Excel, make the change, click refresh, boom, I have the new document, save, gives me an approval workflow. I approve it, or my chief medical officer approves it, and we have an update to our library and to our quality management system. And because we have that now, we are really able to do the whole quality management approach very, very collaboratively. So it's me who is feeding a lot of the input. Our director of medical affairs and our nurse manager are the ones that are actually writing right now SOPs. So we started to type as many down as we can from the ones that we had so far in Word. That gets to Excel, Excel Online, Visio Online, then to the doctors, nurses, and to any other team that we're working with out here. And the next step we're already working on as well, thanks to being connected to Ashutosh's team as well, it's like, hey, why don't you connect already your data that sits in our operations system, which is on an Azure SQL platform, right into the SOP? Because then it suddenly becomes an operations system, because we're measuring how long does this video upload take? That's a data point that we're entering into our system. If it sits in our quality management system, then suddenly this whole typical burden of having a quality management system, which is more an afterthought, becomes a real day-to-day performance tool. And with that, I think Ashutosh wants to hand over very quickly as well to some really fancy view of Visio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hagen. Thank you. And it's quite humbling to see Visio being used for health management and the standard operating procedures and processes being created through Visio. And of course, the quality in health management cannot be undermined at all. So it's quite humbling to see Visio being used there. In the next set of presentations, I'm going to request Ryan Peterson, CEO of Finger Foods, to come on the stage, please. And he has been working with Microsoft on a number of cool technologies, lots of innovations, and some of the stuff that you see have been demonstrated with respect to mixed reality had his contribution as well. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you very much for having me. I think we'll start off with just a little video, just an introduction. This is new tech. It's a new platform. It's about allowing people to be more productive with their time and allow them to use their skill sets. We really just transformed, really how those teams collaborated around design. really the beginning when we work with our clients, once they understand, there is a sense of excitement because they get to almost recreate their business digitally. I mean, that concept of a digital twin. And once you have a digital twin in your business and you start to instrument and start to really rethink all your processes, it's a pretty magical time because it really taps into people's creative firepower. These are jobs of the future. We're technology leaders and moving goods around, fuel efficiency. These are common problems that we have to sort out. We're kind of rethinking the human experience around work. The biggest innovations that we did with this is the ability to correlate different data sets. Because you can see it, you can communicate it. The work we've done is definitely a showcase of what's possible. This is going to radically change our industry.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's a real honor to be up here because I've actually been using Visio or the pre-incarnation since 1995 for all the work I'm doing. Now, at Finger Food, we've been really lucky to be at the forefront of mixed reality and one of the first kind of development agency partners to come out of their program. And when we think of digital transformation, Industry 4.0, I like to go back to the first industrial revolution way back. This is actually a pretty famous picture from Manchester in the 1920s. And really steam drove innovation at that time. And at Finger Food, we're seeing kind of 4 exponential technologies that are driving kind of this next industrial revolution. And we see, Satya was talking today about intelligence on the edge. We think the Internet of Things, but embedded intelligence at the edge, where you're getting smart data. We're looking at artificial intelligence, really, turning data into information that's useful. And holographic technology, mixed reality, AR, really, giving data context, turning data into your solutions. And finally, that last 6 inches, we're seeing robotics, the price of robotics being driven down the last 6 inches. And these kind of 4 technologies are driving kind of a grand convergence to drive radical transformation with our industrial clients. And where we see Visio as just an absolute critical role, the crux, is really aligning both business, creative, and engineering to understand. I always say that digital transformation starts with actually doing your homework, understanding very succinctly your business processes, reimagining your workflow. And then the engineering standpoint to communicate to your engineers of actually what needs to be done. And how many here people play soccer? Have kids that played soccer? Come on, you should all raise your hands. And you've probably seen this picture of they call it the ball swarm. So when new kids play soccer, you throw a ball in the field and they all kind of just chase the ball around. I find that's most big companies with new technology. AI, we have an AI department and we chase the ball around and maybe that ball ends up in a goal. And with Visio with our clients, is a critical functionality is it gives your team structure. Where technology becomes, I think, key positions and you're playing off the ball and you're identifying core business challenges that you want to solve with technology. And really that's, I call it the tip of the spear for transforming organizations. And we're very fortunate this summer as we actually ran a hackathon with our Visio team, and we focused on identifying a core business challenge, and then how can we use technology to solve that in the context of collaboration with Visio. See it running this video. And what we're looking at is with our clients, this is the Chechen Digital Twin Terminal Station. We're running sensor data through our Cortana Intelligence Suite, trying to pick up precursor events to a oil spill or some sort of leak. And instantly you can see we're pulling up a pipe and instrument diagram, and we could notice that we identified the problem very quickly, which is a valve problem. And this is the thing that's never been done before is really the integrating, from using AI to give your problems context. And the key is, so go to my next slide. There we go. Is, why is this such an important innovation? Because a pipeline spill specifically costs about $1 billion to Enbridge. So to pick up those precursor events is incredibly important. And then be able to, from a health and safety perspective, before you send your crew onto your sites, to be able to clearly communicate the problems ahead of time, again, you're radically improving productivity to solve business problems. And the other key thing is this integration is when we see trends in digital innovation or digital transformation, it's about better asset management. Companies like Enbridge, Tech Resources, PACCAR, pretty continue. Everyone's has an output of something, whether it's iron ore, whether it's trucks or oil. Manage your assets is a critical piece in how you can use this technology. And using Visio as a core collaboration tool to be able to communicate to your business units problems on the field right away. And as we think about transforming industry, such as autonomous mining with our clients at Tech Resources, the concept of a digital twin, the planning and the infrastructure in place, these are multi-billion-dollar endeavors. Again, it starts with that homework, understanding those production scenarios from start to finish, and it starts with workflow and process before you get to these wonderful creative endeavors, and finally to something that we're showing here, which is the digital twin, the future of mining. Our clients, Deschutes Brewery, again, probably one of the most advanced breweries in the world. Everything that they start with starts with a Visio diagram of workflow, of process enhancements, and they're also moving to that same thing, a digital twin of their infrastructure. But it starts with that key collaboration tool within the organization. And this is really important because probably most people are in technology here. I call this as a pretty important slide because most projects, as we know, I can say follow the mirage or they don't make it through the desert. So the big thing is, having business alignment before you move on to these journeys with your clients is critical or you'll perish through the desert. And what happens is it's unfortunate. With new technology introduced, there's always lots of excitement with swarming the ball. There's lots of demos, but very often we don't actually start with developing a real ROI. What are our KPIs before we actually start these journeys with digital transformation? And so you can quickly drive adoption. And that's kind of lead this theme is to, when we look at driving adoption, you can see real benefits. This is our client PACCAR. We completely redefined their workflow around design using mixed reality. But again, it started with the whiteboard, led to collaboration with Visio to understand very specifically the workflow, and then we completely transformed, saving our clients hundreds of millions of dollars, but most importantly, time to market. And when you're able to do that, this is a really important graph, you really move from incremental changes to your business to exponential. And when you can do that, that wedge is a wedge between you and your competitors. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you very much, Ron. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
I know you guys must be thinking whether it's real or not, mixed reality, but it's actually real. You can actually see lots of live demos in our Visio booth from Tuesday and Wednesday in the first half and see how Visio integrates with a bunch of digital twins concept that Ryan talked about. Very quickly, this is a very brief summary of what we talked about in terms of roadmap. Visio makes lots of progress from not from creation perspective, as I mentioned, but also collaborating, bringing your entire team together, empowering your employees as well as engaging with your customers and looking at those results that you set out to achieve by a bunch of dashboarding and monitoring improvements that we're doing. So first thing that you notice here is, okay, I leave it that. So one of the things that you find here is that relates to consumption experience, which we've already provided for Visio Viewer for iOS. And there is Visio Online that has been released, Visio Online Creation, which is getting to GA very soon. There are things that are in pipeline, and let me just give you a little bit of caveat. One, we are, of course, agile in the sense that we'll get lots of bunch of feedback, and second, we listen to our customers, and then they have a different view or something. These plans could change, but right now we are looking at integrating and creating a new visualization paradigm, for example, using 3D and mixed reality. And we're also looking at integrating with a bunch of orchestration engines, as I talked about, so that diagrams can be the starting point, they can go to execution, and as well as can be used for monitoring as well. With this, join us for more action, and there are a bunch of sessions planned. One, if you want to get deeper into how Data Visualizer is getting used or how you can create your own unified dashboards, this is just at 4 p.m. in BRK2402. Then if you want to build your own solutions, data-driven solutions, there's a breakout 2239 on Thursday. And then there are 3 3-hour sessions, and I must thank our MVPs who are driving these sessions with respect to getting your data-driven network diagrams, as well as managing space and time with Visio and Power BI. And also, you'll find integration with Power Apps as well in the coming few days, as this schedule talked about. As I mentioned, you could find out a bunch of live demos and also in all 5 days, but the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, first half will run demos for HoloLens as well. Now with this, I'll end this presentation and wait for any questions and feedback that you have. And if you were to ask this question, there are mics, and if you could use the nearest mic to you. Yes, please.
Hi, I had a quick question around licensing for Visio Online.
Oh, well, I'll get Angela to answer that question.
Awesome.
Can you say more about specifically, just in general, or?
Yeah, in general, if it integrates onto Azure subscriptions, or you get like with the same tenant or something like that for.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it. You know, in the near term, Visio will continue as you know it, basically as standalone offerings. You can purchase Visio Online Plan 1 and Visio Online Plan 2. Of course, we still have our Visio Standard and Professional SKUs as well. We are always under evaluation of other ways of packaging, but at this point, it will continue. It is still a standalone subscription. Anyone?
Yes, please.
Great.
I don't have a specific question. I was just wondering if you can put the schedule back up so I can see what classes or what sessions we're going to be able to see.
Yeah, 1 second. All right, and you can also
I
reach
think
out
we've got
to
one.
us in different
Oh,
mechanisms.
Ashutosh, we've got
Yeah,
one.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, add an integration question. Is there any future planning on using this for like the Azure Resource Manager or infrastructure planning and kind of mapping out your infrastructure and tying to templating?
Yes, I mentioned that in our presentation as well, that we are looking at that area broadly, and we'll definitely have some kind of solution that can help creating visualization for that infrastructure as well.
And for that, please take a wonderful Visio t-shirt. We've got one for you out there who asked about our licensing as well. Thanks.
And also we have a book which our MVP Scott Hammers has written. Any question on this one will get this book. Yeah, you'll get the book.
Is there plans to integrate like easily with more cloud-based solutions like Jira and other cloud-based solutions that are out there for mainly project management and that kind of?
So bunch of investments that we are actually doing in data visualization, where we read bunch of data and create diagrams. We are looking at extensibility mechanism to include solutions like Jira that you mentioned. That may not be a straightforward solution, but there would be extensibility that will include such kind of products as well. And here is your book.
Just want to say, I love what you guys are doing.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you
to
so
our
much.
customers
Thanks,
and fans out there. Thank you so much for coming.